Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the 5th anniversary season of the Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar Podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Elyachar, the chief content producer and writer at jakestake.com, a pop culture entertainment news website. If you're watching us on audio, please give us a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel, and please follow and everything. If you're listening to us on our audio platforms, please give me a 5-star rating. Please download this episode and more episodes. I am honored and so excited to welcome one of my favorite people onto the podcast. He's a retired male model turned comedian. He's the host of the Uncensored with Mario Adrion podcast. And as of this recording, he has over 354,000 Instagram followers and 881,000 YouTube subscribers. So please help me welcome Mario Adrion to the podcast.
Yeah, mamma mia. What an intro. Thanks so much, Jacob. Appreciate that.
You're so welcome. Your intros to your YouTube channel are absolutely epic. So I gotta say, you are awesome.
Oh, you mean the "It's me, Mario" that one?
Absolutely, my friend. Absolutely.
Yeah, I always love doing that because I used to be a male model, and as a model, you always have to be so serious. So I love just being silly, and having that intro. I even used to say that when I would go to modeling castings, instead of saying, "Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Mario," like a model douchebag. At some point, I was just like, hey, I'm just going to go in and have fun. So I would always say, "It's me, Mario." And that kind of stuck even on my YouTube channel. Yeah.
And that's amazing. That's amazing. I hope another famous Mario doesn't like that. I just hope.
Oh, yeah, right?
Oh,
I'm still I'm still waiting for a lawsuit from Nintendo. I hope they don't come after me for like a trademark infringement or something like that with "It's a me," but we'll see.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Mario. I would love to see you and a Mario do "It's me, Mario" together at whenever Super Nintendo Land.
I would love to. My life goal would be to be the voice of Super Mario at some point. If a German did that, that'd be hilarious. Like that'd be so.
Yeah, I think it'd be hilarious too, but you're really good. You'll be really good. So let's get started with our conversation. So when did you get interested in performing, and how did that passion evolve and desire to pursue a career in the entertainment industry?
Well, I've always been very silly even before I started modeling or anything like that. But I grew up in a small town in Germany called Altisbach im Hochschwarzwald. Sounds very scary. It's a town of lumberjacks. Everybody has a regular job. They're German engineers. So performing, being silly was not really part of the everyday life or what people do for a career. But I always had the passion. So it took me to start modeling. I went to the US when I was like 18, 19, became a male model. And through that, I started the YouTube channel. It just took me a while to find acceptance in the creative expression because it was not accepted as a model. It's not accepted to be silly. It's not accepted to be funny as a German, So I kind of had to escape all these boxes to find my own voice. And I've always wanted to do it. I just wasn't in the right environment to. And then through YouTube mainly, when I started making YouTube videos, I was like, oh, I love this self-expression. I made videos about modeling when I was traveling and going to New York. It was almost like a Zoolander type YouTube channel where I just show people what it's like to be a male model. And so that's when the performance aspect really started. And I found so much joy in the creative expression, especially when it comes to comedy. Yeah.
Your YouTube channel, Mario, is absolutely amazing. I'm a huge fan of your channels. One of the things that I love about your channels is that you showcase your friendship with Jeff Castor. Who, please give him a hello to me, because I gotta say it is probably one of the best male friendships in the industry.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, it's something that I feel very passionate about, is that two men can be friends and be intimate and close and have real emotional and vulnerable conversations with each other. Because it's something we think only women can do. But I love my friendships with my friends, like male friends. It doesn't necessarily have to be sexual or gay. I think two straight friends, it doesn't matter what your sexuality is. I think we should normalize that. And that's what I want to showcase on my channel, because it's one of the most beautiful relationships that I have in my life, but it's not a common archetype of a friendship or a relationship in your life. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I gotta say, friendship goals, that's all I gotta say.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, I'll let him know. I'll let Jeff know.
Perfect. Hi, Jeff. Alrighty. So I gotta say this. When you arrived in 2020, it was a different world. It was probably, did you arrive pre-lockdown or after lockdown?
I moved to the US right before the lockdown.
Oh
So
wow.
I just started stand-up comedy and I loved it. And I actually moved to Los Angeles for stand-up comedy. And I went to a stand-up or like an improv stand-up school called Second City in Hollywood. So I got an apartment right next to that school, hoping that I would like, dive into my, comedy goals and do stand-up all the time. And I signed my lease in February of 2020. And then COVID was already on the news, and then everything just shut down for like a year and a half. Comedy ceased to exist essentially in Los Angeles. So yeah, the timing was not ideal, but I still, it's a good experience. I mean, I learned a lot from it. But yeah, in terms of entertainment industry, that was like probably the worst time to ever make the move to California.
I totally understand that. I was in New York when the lockdown happened. So
Oh yeah,
I was locked. I stayed there from March to August 2020 when they had phase 4 reopening. So
yeah,
it was definitely being part of the world was like basically like walking. I felt like I was on the set of I Am Legend or The Walking Dead.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. Same here. I mean, Hollywood Boulevard. Usually, you see Deadpool and Spider-Man and Batman walking around. There's nobody, so it was very bizarre. Yeah.
I gotta say this: many of my audience members might recognize you from your American Idol audition, including strutting the Speedo with Katy Perry. So how did you pull that off?
I still don't exactly know how that happened. It was one of those things that just was very spontaneous. I was asked by a friend who's a casting director for American Idol if I wanted to be on the show. So I auditioned, but the thing is I can't sing. I'm not a good singer. Like, I don't know, I just don't have that talent in me. So I had this idea of just being being silly. That's always what I've loved to do is like being silly. So I kind of took that modeling persona that I had on YouTube and took it to American Idol. So I showed up in a Speedo on the set of American Idol in front of Katy Perry, Luke Bryan, and Lionel Richie. And I just sang a song. And then everything that happened was completely unplanned. Nobody told me what I should do. But what ended up happening is I challenged Katy Perry to a catwalk battle, like a model walk off. So we did this, and it was just, I love saying yes and being silly. And I love that the judges were so open to having a European in a Speedo on the show and just being silly and having a fun moment, which I think, especially in the pandemic, people needed that silliness and that, those fun moments. So yeah, it was an iconic moment. Very grateful for it. But it was very unplanned. Just in the moment saying yes to things and being open. That's always been kind of like my motto, and that's how that happened.
It's amazing that you're definitely going to be going down in one of the best Disney era versions of Idol because especially now that Katie's leaving the show, which I was
Yeah.
surprised by.
Oh, she's leaving the show. I didn't know that.
Yes.
Next season. Oh, I didn't know. Okay.
Yeah, so however, I think is I really hope and pray that your catwalk battle is probably going to be featured in the highlights.
I hope so. I hope so. Yeah. That'd be awesome.
All righty. We're not here to talk about Katy Perry leaving American Idol. We're talking about you, Mario. So
Yes.
could you describe how you started Uncensored to my audience?
Well, Uncensored is it's my desire to be more raw and more real because I realized that a lot of content on YouTube, you have to be so worried about like having the right title, the right thumbnail. Everything has to be very polished for YouTube. So I just had a desire to having a more raw conversation. And that's when Uncensored started. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to be different from other platforms because so many podcasters out there are so afraid to say anything controversial because of advertisers pulling out. A lot of my YouTube videos get demonetized because I tackle edgier subjects. I talk about sexuality, I talk about even sexual assaults. So those are not very advertiser friendly subjects, but it's stuff that I want to talk about. That's why I called it Uncensored, where essentially nothing is off topic, right? You can talk about anything, and I like to put my guests in uncomfortable situations and have them talk about things they usually wouldn't talk about. And that's kind of like the premise.
I would love to talk to you about several of your episodes that really stood out to me, if you don't mind.
So yeah, some episodes stood out. I mean, there's so many. One that was very interesting and also very controversial was I had an adult star on the podcast. His name is Malik Delgadi. He's a huge gay adult star, but he is straight. So I had a very interesting conversation about him, talking to him about like sexuality, separating his sexuality from his work. And it was it's probably like, for now, it's probably the most popular episode because again, it's very controversial. A lot of people wouldn't talk about that kind of stuff, but it was fascinating showing people that you would have expectations about like adult stars, like models, but showing them in a different light and asking them questions that usually wouldn't be asked. So that was one of my favorite episodes. Then I had a lot of women on the show. I had Scarlett Vess on the show. She's a
Oh,
huge
I saw your episode. It was amazing that she revealed that she made like 234,000 on OnlyFans. I thought, wow.
Yes, I mean that is wild to me. And again, like it's kind of uncomfortable asking a huge TikTok star on air how much money she makes on OnlyFans. But yeah, it was great. It was a great episode. She opened up about a lot of things, and yeah, I think it was fascinating. I love the openness that a lot of people have when they come to the podcast. Yeah.
Absolutely. Another episode that caught my attention was your one-on-one with Reno Gold when he spoke about his OnlyFans and also Sap Affection. And I never saw the opportunity for someone like Reno to open up about his career and also not only his health struggles.
Yeah, again, that's something that I've always been a fan of, especially men opening up and being more vulnerable, like I said before, with male friendships, but also in a public eye. Like I've been very public about sexual assaults, my experiences as a male model, which I think is very important. So that's also a theme that I want to inspire people to, share that stuff, because essentially that's what I always think. If you share something, even something that was difficult or traumatic for you, that's going to make the world a better place, because people can relate to it. People see themselves in that. I mean, Reno talked about his struggles as a public figure to always be in shape. He talked about body dysmorphia, which obviously when you're a model, when you're in adults, when you do OnlyFans, that's a big part of your career is your body. So he was going through health struggles and really open up about those body issues, which I think it's healthy for people online also share that side, because we often see the perfect polished image on Instagram. We don't think these people are relatable. We feel alone in our struggles. But somebody like Reno, who's very successful, who's got a huge following, who's got a lot of money, him opening up about that was very meaningful, and I really appreciate him for being so vulnerable.
Yeah. I gotta say, another one that caught my surprise in a really good way was Peet Montzingo. I loved hearing about his children's story, and I loved hearing about his background.
Yeah, I mean, again, he talked about. I think he also talked about a lot about his struggles with ADHD, which again, you wouldn't know that necessarily. You see this guy, he's very good looking, he's online, he's selling children's books, he's got like I think 15 million followers on TikTok, but he's really struggling. So yeah, hearing those stories I think it's quite impactful. So I'm very proud of those episodes.
And one final episode I would love to bring up is your conversation with Maximilian Avazena. It was like with Max Unimiddle, and Jeff.
Oh yeah. So he's also that's one more episode that really surprised me, because I look kind of like a douchebag. So do a lot of us. You're a male model, and when you pose online, you see we have like abs, and we kind of look like these serious models. But Maximilian, same thing. He's in great shape, but he really opened up about his how his dad left him and all these things that you wouldn't see when you look at somebody like that from the outside. You just think this is like a vain, shallow dude. And again, I love breaking those stereotypes. That's why I have a lot of male models on the show, because I want to stand up for my community of underrepresented white 6'3", ridiculously hot looking dudes, and show people that we male models are human too. Exactly.
And I gotta say, you're doing an incredible job with that, because the thing is, it definitely empathizes with a lot, because I've been struggling with the fitness journey and struggling to be in shape and everything. So I gotta say, it's great that you've used this podcast to bring elements to make sure that all of us are on the same page. We're not supposed to be on pedestals.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're all humans. We're all one. Yeah.
Awesome. I gotta talk to you about. Have you thought about your dream guests? Like, who would you love to see on the podcast?
Yeah, I mean, talking about good-looking guys, definitely. I did a show the other day at the Laugh Factory as a comedian, and Matt Rife was on the same show. Like, he blew up in the last couple of weeks. So he's definitely one of the people I'd love to have on the show. Same with Matteo Lane. He's a great comedian as well. And then, of course, as a German, I'd love to have David Hasselhoff. He is an idol for all of us Germans. He should be the president of Germany. And I grew up watching him. And I just it's so funny how an American became the most famous German. You know what I'm saying? It's like one of those things. So I'd love to have those people on the show, especially Matt Rife, because I kind of emphasize with him. A lot of people, they judge me, put me in a box in comedy and stand-up, because they think, yo, are you a good-looking guy? You can't be funny and all these things. And I love how he also broke the stereotype of what you can and can't do as a good looking guy. That's kind of like, I love when people break boxes and show people that, you don't have to live up to these stereotypes that people attach to you, and you can break out of them and pave your own path. And that's what I love about him. Yeah.
That and they're real. Those are really good guys. I'm really hoping and pray to seeing one of them or all three of them on your couch and talk to them. That'd be fabulous.
Yeah.
So I got to say to you, my friend, you are killing it with the social media game. As I said before, your Instagram numbers, your YouTube numbers. So what have you and your team thought about, like building that following?
I mean, honestly, it's sure some of it is strategic, but it's always just being authentic. Like, what do I want to share? What are the things I'm passionate about? It's not so much, okay, what do I have to do to get this? It's more like I feel passionate about some things and just organically happen, right? Like, I think that's the key. If you try to on social media do something for the purpose of getting your numbers up, but if it's not authentic to you, then you can't win. I see so many people that want to start YouTube channels with the purpose of becoming famous. I think you should start with the passion first. What do you want to talk about? And that, whatever that is, that makes it sustainable, because you're going to have the passion and you're going to work harder on it, and it makes it sustainable. Otherwise, you're going to burn out if you search for the numbers and the validation. So yeah, we should always think about like what's true to me. And I talk about my struggles as a model. I talk about being German in America. So that's just stuff that I have a lot of opinions about and that I feel passionate sharing. So then that just translates. And it's always that authenticity, that vulnerability. In the beginning, I thought I couldn't be vulnerable because I'm a man, I'm this dude, I'm a model. But I think being true to that made me more successful online, because I stood out, I was unique, and it's authentic to me. And I think authenticity at the end of the day, that's the biggest learning lesson that when it comes to social media, is truly being authentic and not holding back. Yeah.
I agree on that, and especially for me, I've just, as you noticed, the 5th anniversary season. One of two of my biggest heroes are Barbara Walters and Regis Philbin, who are huge American television icons that's had over a 50-year career. I'd rather have a lengthy career, not a flash in the pan. And it feels like with TikTok and everything right now, that there's a lot more people that are going to be flash in the pans, but not lengthy. But like with you, what I see with you, Mario, is that you have a lengthy career ahead of you.
Say that one more time, last part.
You have a lengthy career ahead of you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, and I think that's you're absolutely right. I see a lot of people, especially during the pandemic, they blew up on TikTok. There's a lot of guys, and there's nothing wrong with it, but I get it. And they capitalized on their looks, and they did like TikTok trends to build an audience. They got massive viewership, but there is not really anything personal about that, and it's the easier route, I would say. So I think to build a lengthy audience, you're gonna have to be more. I think reveal a part of yourself, be more open, be more vulnerable, and try to provide some value beyond just maybe being good looking or jumping on a trend. So that's definitely, and the value can be whatever. It can be education, it can be entertainment, it can be inspiration, whatever it might be. But I think that's the careers that have more longevity. Yeah.
Absolutely. So speaking of comedy, what have been some of the lessons that you learned jumping from the modeling industry into the comedy industry?
Oh, I mean, it's kind of like the same. It's funny though that in modeling, being good looking was rewarded. That was basically the only thing that mattered, right? Whereas now in comedy, it's almost working in my disadvantage. So that's been a big difference and a big shift for like, wow, I like comedy because I'm being valued and appreciated and validated, not just for my looks. Because I always say this, I never liked the thing about modeling that I was validated for my looks because I didn't do anything. I didn't go to college. I didn't train hard for my looks. I was just born hot. You know what I mean? So it was like one of those weird things where with comedy, it's just another level of validation. And it feels more fulfilling. I noticed that too, because with modeling, sometimes I feel like there's not as much value in it because you look good, right? And you promote a brand, and that's cool if it's a nice collection or a cool designer. But with comedy, you make people laugh. And there's such purpose in that. Like whenever I leave stage, even when I do smaller shows here in LA or New York, and it's only like 20 people in the audience, I made 20 people laugh for 15 minutes. that is a win. I feel like I contributed something positive to society and the world. Whereas with modeling, sometimes I was questioning the purpose. So yeah, that's what I really love. I love modeling. I love the experiences in modeling. I love the people I met. I had fun on the photo shoot sets, but comedy gives me like a deeper sense of purpose, which that's the biggest difference. Yeah.
And have you thought about, like, saying not just New York and Los Angeles, but also have you thought when, like, are you comfortable enough to go on the circuit tour, or are you like working your way up towards that?
Yeah, I'm currently in the midst of planning that. So stay tuned. I have a tour planned. I have some dates planned in Arizona, Chicago, Texas, New York. I've done shows already. New York and LA. I've done some of my own headlining shows. So I'm planning my first national tour right now. It's gonna happen this year. Yeah.
If you bring your show to Kansas City, you have an audience member already.
Yeah. All right. Cool. I have one. I have one person Kansas City. That's awesome.
All righty. So we gotta start writing down our conversation, Mario. So what are some of your favorite social media platforms that you connect with your fans on?
Yeah, I mean, it's shifted a lot. I think number one now might actually be Instagram, because it feels more personal than TikTok or any of the other platforms. Because Instagram is kind of like, people use Instagram because they follow a person, not so much a video. TikTok, people scroll and they can watch some of your videos, and videos can get millions of views, but you don't really have an audience, and it's hard to connect with an audience. On Instagram, I can do live videos, I can do stories. It feels more personal. I post photos of me and my dad. I like that platform. It feels the most connected out of all of them. But I think my favorite platform has and always will be YouTube, just because that's how I started my whole journey. That's the platform that gave me the most love, the most reach, and it's the deepest connection. Like watching a horizontal video for 15 minutes, or even a podcast for like an hour and a half, is so much more impactful than watching a 15-second TikTok video. You know what I mean? It's very fleeting. So yeah, YouTube and Instagram would be my favorite platforms for sure. Never really got into Twitter and X. My Twitter also got deleted. I was banned from Twitter along with Donald Trump and Alex Jones, which is very ironic because I don't know what I did. And then TikTok also, there's been a lot of censorship. The American Idol audition I posted of me in a Speedo got one of my TikTok accounts deleted because the content was flagged as sexually gratifying content, because I was wearing a Speedo and there was no body of water nearby. And then the whole TikTok account I had like 500,000 followers on TikTok. It got deleted. So it's just strange. With the censorship, it's not very transparent. It's kind of weird. So TikTok is not my favorite platform. It's also very distracting. Once I post something, I get sucked into the whole For You page. So yeah, Instagram and YouTube be my favorite for sure.
I definitely agree. TikTok, it's very hard to build an audience, and I apologize that, like, seriously, 500,000 and then deleted because of that? It's just absurd.
Yeah. Yeah. It happens, it's kind of like they changed their guidelines a little bit, but yeah, it seems odd, that I would get deleted for wearing a Speedo. And then I see a lot of photos, like videos of women with bikinis. I don't want to make it a big fit, but I think TikTok's a little sexist, that's my stance.
Awesome. So Mario, one last question. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Where can my audience find the Uncensored with Mario Adrion podcast? And number two, where can they connect with you on social?
The best place would be just Mario Adrion on Instagram, because then they have all the links there to all my platforms. You go on Mario Adrion on Instagram, you see all the dates, tour dates, upcoming stand-up tour dates. You see the link to my podcast. So that's all on Mario Adrion, one word, on Instagram. Yeah.
Awesome. So guys, how do you miss an episode of the Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar Podcast? Visit our channels on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Podchaser, Spotify, and Spreaker. Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar, JACOBELYACHAR. Now, are you on social media? Because I'm on social media too. Facebook, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, and YouTube. Jacob Elyachar, JACOBELYACHAR. And guys, want to know what happened on America's Got Talent Fantasy League? What's going on with the Masked Singer? And find out more on my new music Fridays and new music reviews? Visit jakes-take.com. Once again, jakes-take.com. Mario, it was such a privilege to welcome you on the podcast. And thanks for having me. For taking time out of your schedule to talk with me today. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you, Jacob. Yeah.
You're so welcome. And guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, have a great one, everybody. Goodbye.